The company's new intern, Ryan Miller, committed suicide over love. Before he died, he left a message in his live stream. In the next life, we'll definitely be together. I was deeply moved and, together with my wife Sophia Taylor, lamented the unpredictability of fate. But to my shock, that very night Sophia Taylor climbed to the top of a tall building and jumped. While handling the aftermath, I found the 99 love letters she had kept. It turned out that the intern Ryan Miller was the white moonlight she had pined for over the years. And I, Ethan Johnson, was nothing more than a substitute to placate Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson. In her letters, I, and even everyone involved, were the ones who had driven them to die for love. I died of depression. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day I met Sophia Taylor for a blind date. When she made a move on me, I shook my head with a smile. Sorry, I don't marry a girl who isn't pure at heart. I hope you and the one you love end up together. Ethan, what do you think of me? If it's okay with you, let's set the date. Seeing the young and beautiful Sophia Taylor before me and hearing the familiar conversation, I woke with a jolt. I pinched myself hard. It wasn't a dream. I had been reborn. After 10 wasted years, I couldn't believe heaven had actually given me a second chance to choose. In my previous life, when I met Sophia Taylor for the first time at a blind date, I was struck by her beauty. To my delight, she was also very fond of me. We started seeing each other and naturally fell in love and got married. I thought it was a fate bestowed upon me by heaven. After marriage, we treated each other with mutual respect. Sophia Taylor respected me a great deal and never questioned who I was with or how late I drank. But after Ryan Miller, an intern who had just joined Johnson Enterprises where I worked, jumped off a building and killed himself, Sophia Taylor also went up to the roof. The first time I saw her in that hysterical state, she broke down on the rooftop and cried. You are all the ones who ruined my relationship with Ryan. You all keep saying you did it for my own good, but you've hurt him and you've hurt me. If you're all going to force me to die, then I'll oblige you. At that time, I didn't know what had happened to her or why she said those things. I even blamed myself and reflected on whether I had done something wrong and hurt her. Until the funeral ended, while I was sorting through Sophia Taylor's belongings, I found a locked little box under her bed. Inside were 99 love letters, and the male lead in them was all that intern, Ryan Miller. Dear Ryan, in the many days and nights since we broke up, have you ever thought of me? I went to a blind date today. Ethan Johnson's brows and eyes looked so much like yours that for a moment I was stunned. Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor have started pressuring me, urging me to find someone to marry soon. But you know, apart from you, others make no difference to me. At least with Ethan, I can sometimes catch a glimpse of you. The other letters were much the same. Between the lines, they all spoke of longing for Ryan Miller. Seeing that delicate handwriting chilled me to the core. I finally understood why every time we were intimate, she would close her eyes. Afterward, she would gently stroke my cheek and seemed strangely entranced. I thought that was her way of showing love for me. But when I saw the letters, I realized I had only ever been a stand-in for Ryan Miller, a lower-tier version at that. In the letters, she poured out her grievances and helplessness. Every sentence and line nearly froze my blood. Dear Ryan, today my body betrayed you again. I really hate Ethan touching me. I always feel particularly disgusted, but I have to do it. My family urges me to marry and to have children. I feel like a pathetic marionette, with no say in anything. Looking back on everything between Sophia Taylor and me, I realized there were so many suspicious signs. She was always deliberately or unconsciously keeping her distance from me and never confided in me when something was on her mind. I thought she was just cold by nature, but I never expected that in front of Ryan Miller, she could let everything go. Dear Ryan, since you left, I have completely lost the ability to love another person. The 3 words, I love you, are words I will only ever say to you. When I read that line, I lost control of my emotions and tore the love letter to pieces like a madman. During the days we spent together, I told Sophia Taylor, I love you countless times, but she always remained silent. Even at the height of passion, she could change the subject. She said she wasn't very good at loving, but now I realize there aren't people who can't love. It's just that the one they love isn't me. I also remembered when I learned that Ryan Miller had joined Johnson Enterprises. The first time I saw a look on Sophia Taylor's usually calm face that I couldn't read, her fingers even trembling slightly. At the time, I naively thought she was feeling unwell. It turned out she had just seen her beloved white moonlight and was momentarily unable to compose herself. Only later did I understand her expression then. It was shock, longing, sorrow, affection, but whatever the emotion was, none of it was directed at me. 10 years of a relationship, and it all ended like this. Reborn into a new life, I won't be the villain who stands in the way of their love anymore. If a heart can't be warmed, then I'll just let go. Ethan, are you listening? Sophia Taylor's call pulled me back from the thoughts of my previous life. I took a deep breath, forced down the anger in my chest, and smiled faintly. Sorry, Miss Taylor, I don't have any feelings for you. After saying that, I signaled the waiter to pay the bill and left. Sophia Taylor's gaze remained fixed on me. Her expression complicated. There was surprise, self-doubt, and more than anything, unwillingness to accept it. In the last life, Sophia Taylor reluctantly married me, but she was proud by nature and could never accept being rejected. After all, she had excellent looks and a killer figure. No man would refuse a woman who was both beautiful and hot. To say I felt nothing would be a lie. I had loved this woman deeply for 10 years. Every kiss and embrace left me utterly reluctant to let go. But I knew I cannot turn back. With every step forward, I felt like I was saying goodbye to the past, bidding farewell to that foolish one-sided devotion of my previous life, to 10 years of being kept in the dark and used as a substitute. I kept warning myself, roses may be beautiful, but they have thorns. Reborn, I would not waste another half-life on a woman whose heart belonged to someone else. Besides, I could not bear to watch another vibrant life fade away before my eyes. In a last life, Sophia Taylor tore free from my hand and resolutely jumped from the building. After that, I became anxious and sleepless. Every time I closed my eyes, that bloody, mangled scene flashed before me. I was tormented to the brink of a breakdown. On the one hand, by the pain of being deceived, on the other, by hating myself for not discovering it sooner, for being the one who meddled in someone else's relationship. Under the prolonged mental torment, I developed severe depression and anorexia and died miserably in a hospital before I turned 40. On my deathbed, I realized that this marriage had been wrong from the start. After getting home, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson immediately came up to me, asking nonstop about the blind date. In my previous life, I had eagerly told them that the match had worked out, and they were very happy for me. But 3 months into the relationship, when I suggested bringing Sophia Taylor home to meet them, she always refused for one reason or another. I thought she was just shy, but later in her letters, I learned the truth. Dear Ryan, even if I meet parents, I will only go home with you. Other people's parents aren't worthy. This is my loyalty to you, even though I know it doesn't express even a tenth of the love I feel for you. Not only that, even after we were married, she was unwilling to go back to the Johnsons' home with me. Every New Year, it was only me who sat with Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson for the reunion dinner, as if I had never married at all. My parents only hoped I would have someone to accompany them and could visit occasionally, but Sophia Taylor was stubborn about that and outright refused to return with me. I also couldn't bear to leave her alone, so every Lunar New Year, I had to run between the two places. A failed marriage killed me and caused my parents pain. I pulled myself together, tugged at the corner of my mouth, and forced a smile. Not quite right. Hearing my words, Mrs. Johnson's expression turned a little displeased. Ew. You're almost 30 and still not thinking about getting married and settling down. Your father and I are getting old. If you don't marry, who will keep you company in the future? What exactly are you looking for? Although she was nagging, I knew she worried about me from the bottom of her heart. I smiled to soothe her. Mom, I just want someone who has no one else in their heart, someone to live a simple, ordinary life with. Not too much to ask, at least someone who loves me, right? Mr. Johnson immediately stepped in to smooth things over. Children will find their own fate. Don't rush. I took a deep breath and swallowed the bitterness in my heart. Parents love their children and plan for them with long-term thinking. Mom and Dad always considered me, but in my past life I was trapped and ruined, causing them to go from gray-haired to black-haired, one dying before the other, and end their lives in depression. In this life, however things turn out, I will live well. Even if I never marry, I will take good care of my parents. After briefly talking more about family matters, I went to my room to shower. When I finished, I found that Sophia Taylor had actually sent me a message. Mr. Johnson, I don't know what I did wrong to make you so cold. If there's anything you want, you can tell me directly. I can change. Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor are urging me anxiously. I really don't want to be nagged by my family every day anymore. She sounded pitiful, but the urgency between the lines made my heart sink again. After one lifetime, I knew her parents' character all too well, authoritarian and utterly overbearing. As long as Sophia Taylor hadn't found a suitable match, they would keep arranging meetings. In other words, unless that man was Ryan Miller, unless Sophia Taylor started a new relationship with someone else and married and had children, they wouldn't leave her alone. Obviously, Sophia Taylor understood her parents better than I did, and I just happened to resemble Ryan Miller somewhat. It's no wonder that someone as proud as Sophia Taylor, after being rejected by me, would still message me. I gripped my phone so hard my fingertips were slightly white from the pressure. After a long while I typed back, "It's none of your concern. You're wonderful. There's nothing to fix. I just refuse to marry a woman who has someone else in her heart." I spared her no face. I had endured enough in my previous life's 10 years. I'm not some pitiable person. If a woman thinks being with you is just settling, why keep letting her settle? Wouldn't that be self-deception? Sophia Taylor replied quickly. I could feel her sorrow through the screen. Have you heard about my past? Yes, I admit I hid it from you, but Ryan and I have long been impossible. I was somewhat surprised by her candor. In a last life, she never wanted to tell me about her past, not even share her moods. But in this life, just after I turned her down, she came running to lay her heart bare. I sighed, my mood sinking a little. 10 years of feelings. How could they really be let go just by saying so? After all, Sophia Taylor wasn't really at fault. She simply had no feelings for me. I gave a bitter smile and picked up my phone to reply. If you can't let go of the past, then fight for it. Why go on blind dates? It's only a torment for others and yourself. After sending it, I turned my phone off. Some might think that's cowardly, but I just didn't want to take part in this conflict. If my stepping back could make things work out for them, then it would be a win-win. In the days that followed, Sophia Taylor did, indeed, not contact me. A month later, I noticed she suddenly posted her moments, a photo of two hands with fingers interlaced, captioned, "The one you love may be across mountains and seas, yet mountains and seas can be leveled." I gave a self-mocking laugh. Even after being reborn, I still mean nothing to her. The sacrifices and deep feelings of my past life ultimately became a joke. I tapped a like on her post, and to my surprise, a message from her arrived the next second. "Thank you for your encouragement back then, Ethan. You gave me the courage to pursue true love again. Even if I cut ties with Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor, I will not retreat." My fingers trembled. I wrote and erased words of blessing, not knowing how to reply. In the end, I said nothing. Perhaps that was the best outcome for me. I thought from today on there would be no more intersections between Sophia Taylor and me, but because of commuting reasons, I still moved out of my New York home as I had in my previous life. The moment the elevator door opened, I saw that familiar face again. I was puzzled, not sure where things had gone wrong. I had clearly given up on her in this life, yet unexpectedly fate's path had still brought us together. This building in Brooklyn Heights was the marital home she and I shared in my last life. The reason I bought it again after being reborn wasn't nostalgia. I just felt comfortable living here. When she saw me, Sophia Taylor looked surprised as well. "Ethan, you live here too?" I pretended to be unconcerned and nodded. I was thinking of waiting for the next elevator if necessary, but Sophia Taylor was very enthusiastic. "Come on in, the elevator's about to close." I hesitated for a moment, then went in. Although in my previous life, she was always cold and expressionless toward me, it seems now that, as long as she's not being forced, she can smile warmly and show kindness to others. The elevator only had a bit more than 20 floors, but it felt unusually slow. Sophia Taylor kept chattering. The energy and sunshine she gave off made my mind drift. Love really can make someone bright and cheerful. It's just a pity that in my last life, the person who made her so happy wasn't me. What surprised me even more was that we actually lived on the same floor. When we got off the elevator, Sophia Taylor looked delighted. "Wow, Ethan, we're neighbors." Before I could speak, the door opposite opened and Ryan Miller came out, looking at Sophia Taylor with complete adoration. "Baby, you're back? Oh, and who is this?" Sophia Taylor immediately introduced him warmly. "This is our new neighbor, Ethan Johnson." Then she looked at me. "Ethan, this is my boyfriend, Ryan Miller. If you ever need anything, you can come to us for help." I swallowed the bitterness in my throat, nodded silently, then turned and closed the door. In the second before it shut, I saw Sophia Taylor eagerly crawl into Ryan Miller's arms, the two of them kissing as if they couldn't bear to part. I turned to face the empty room, and for a moment it felt as if I was glimpsing my previous life again. Sophia Taylor always liked to sit quietly on the balcony watering plants, sunlight streaming through the window on her face as if gilding her with a soft glow, making her whole demeanor gentle. But unfortunately, in the last life, that wall separated Ryan Miller. This time it separates me. In the time that followed, Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson introduced me to a few fairly decent girls. But I don't know why, though I was eager for a mutual, devoted love, something always felt slightly off. I suddenly sympathized with the Sophia Taylor of my past life. Once a certain person appears, everyone else becomes merely a compromise. In the end, I simply chose to let things take their course and threw myself wholeheartedly into my work. That day I was working late. I had just stepped out of the elevator when I saw Sophia Taylor crouched by the door, her whole head buried in her knees, her shoulders twitching. When she heard the elevator doors open, she lifted her eyes. Our gazes met, and I saw her rimmed, reddened eyes and the tears in them. It looked like she'd had a fight with Ryan Miller. She spoke, her voice hoarse. "Ethan, can I come to your place for a bit?" I was taken aback for a moment, hesitated, then nodded. Sophia Taylor stood up, and I suddenly noticed terrifying bruises on her pale neck, even faint signs of bleeding. I meant to say something caring, but Sophia Taylor immediately noticed my look, hurriedly pulled up her collar to hide the marks, and gave me an awkward smile. I accidentally bumped into something. She already said that. What else was there for me not to understand? So I sensibly didn't press the matter further. She followed me into the house in silence. After looking around, she deliberately changed the subject in a casual tone. "It's strange. I have this really odd feeling, as if I've been here before. Everything about this place feels so familiar to me." A sharp jolt went through me. Could she, like me, have been reborn? But then the thought seemed ridiculous. In the last life, she hated me, even to the point of loathing me. If she had truly been reborn, there's no way she would willingly live under the same roof with me, let alone come over of her own accord and act so lively. I handed her the brewed tea and, feigning calm, said, "It's the same complex. Most units are similar, and since we're neighbors, the layouts naturally resemble each other." Sophia Taylor nodded, not paying it much mind. She raised the teacup to her lips and took a sip, arching an eyebrow. "How did you know I like this brand of tea?" I was momentarily stunned, suddenly at a loss for how to answer. In the last life, she really liked this tea, and only when we drank tea could we sit down face to face and talk peacefully. Over time, I grew fond of the flavor too, so I specifically bought some before moving in. At this moment, the Sophia Taylor sitting across from me had no idea that, though I appeared calm on the surface, inside I was already a tumult of emotions. "What a coincidence," I said. "I quite like this brand as well." Sophia Taylor didn't notice the tremor in my voice and picked a seat at random. Even more coincidentally, the spot she chose was exactly beside the balcony she had loved most in her previous life. When I had the place renovated, I had intended to change the layout, but some habits are really not that easy to alter. We both stayed silent, neither of us speaking. I couldn't really ask about what happened between her and Ryan Miller. It felt inappropriate, and besides, there wasn't any other topic to bring up. After a long while, Sophia Taylor suddenly spoke as if to herself. "I thought that as long as two people liked each other, even if the whole world opposed them, we could still be together, could rely on each other. But I didn't expect it was all just my own self-deception. I believed Ryan loved me deeply, yet he ended up cheating." I was taken aback and didn't know what to say for a moment. In my previous life, when Ryan Miller joined Johnson Enterprises, I hadn't had much interaction with him and didn't know him well. I certainly hadn't paid attention to his private life. But in this life, Sophia Taylor gave up everything to stand with him against the world. And he cheated? As I was thinking how to comfort her, Sophia Taylor suddenly spoke again. "I saw flirtatious messages between him and another woman on Ryan's phone. I asked him about it, and he hit me. You saw just now, the marks on my neck are from him." I said nothing. In fact, I didn't know what to say. For the woman who hurt me in my past life, I couldn't summon an ounce of sympathy. What remained in my heart was only contempt for 10 years of wasted feelings. Sophia Taylor sniffed. "Only now do I understand why Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor were so adamantly against me being with Ryan. I can only say that the older generation does have its own distinct way of judging people. I'm sorry, Ethan. I don't know who to say this to. I don't dare tell my parents, and I don't want to go back and apologize. I have nowhere to go now." I sighed, and before I could speak, someone began pounding on the door. Sophia Taylor, you bitch, get out here. Ryan Miller's voice came from outside, sneaking into another man's house in the middle of the night. Have you no shame? How dare you accuse me of cheating? That Ethan Johnson is just some pretty boy you keep for yourself. Open up. Don't think I don't know. I can smell your slutty scent through the door. Get out here. I'll tell you now. I've already slept with you. Nobody wants you but me. Sophia Taylor's face was ashen, her eyes full of panic and helplessness. Outside the door, Ryan Miller was still yammering. Hey Johnson, you get your ass out here. How dare you mess with my woman? Do you believe I'll kill you? You worthless dog. Act right, or I'll make you infamous tomorrow. I set down my teacup, walked to the door, yanked it open, and with my other hand drove a fist into Ryan Miller's snarling face. Caught off guard, he fell to the ground, blood streaming from his nose. Standing over him, I glared coldly. Make another peep and I won't mind killing you. Ryan Miller cursed and lunged to his feet, ready to fight. Sophia Taylor immediately rushed out and stood between us. Don't hurt other people over our quarrel. She really is rare. She actually took the initiative to defend me. In a last life, I had some minor conflicts with Ryan Miller, and Sophia Taylor somehow found out and came racing to Johnson Enterprises. Without a moment's hesitation, she slapped me hard. Like a hen protecting her chicks, she sheltered Ryan Miller behind her and looked at me as if I were an enemy. Ethan, is that how you behave at the company? You bully a newcomer? Apologize right now? But at the time, it was clearly Ryan Miller who had secretly altered the data in my project proposal, causing the client to tear into me. I didn't know why he did it. He hid behind Sophia Taylor with a wronged look. I'm sorry, Ms. Taylor. Thank you for speaking up for me. I'm fine. It's just a bit of unfairness. Don't let it affect your relationship with Ethan. Sophia Taylor looked pained, gave me a fierce glare, and then, under the pretext of helping me build good relations with my colleagues, took Ryan Miller to the hospital. She didn't come back the whole night. My first reaction then wasn't to suspect anything between them, but to worry that this would affect our relationship. I didn't expect that after being reborn and reliving the same conflicts and the same positions, this time she stood between me and him. Ryan Miller became even angrier at the sight, grinding his teeth. Sophia Taylor, we haven't even broken up yet, and you're already climbing into someone else's bed? You shameless bitch. Don't forget who was the one who took off their clothes first and eagerly crawled to lick me. Sophia Taylor's face went even paler. She never would have imagined that the person she had once loved enough to give her life for would now say such vicious things to humiliate her. She took a deep breath and enunciated each word. Fine, I'm officially telling you. We're breaking up. The neighbors around heard the commotion and poked their heads out. Upon hearing this, they all shook their heads and sighed. After Sophia Taylor finished speaking, she pulled me into my house. After calming down, she looked at me with some guilt. Shall I help you dress the wound? I shook my head. No need. Sophia Taylor opened her mouth. I'm sorry. It's my fault. This had nothing to do with you. I dragged you into it. I cut her off. It's late, the middle of the night. It's inappropriate for an unmarried man and woman to be together. Go back to the hotel. Sophia Taylor hesitated, but said nothing, walked to the door, and opened it. Ryan Miller had gone somewhere, probably embarrassed at being laughed at. He couldn't stay any longer. I was just about to close the door when Sophia Taylor suddenly grabbed my hand. Thank you, Ethan. I really have never met anyone as kind as you. My body stiffened, but I politely pulled my hand back. Thank you for the compliment. It's late. Get some rest. She stepped in front of the bedroom door again. When we had that blind date, you turned me down because of what happened with Ryan, didn't you? We broken up now. Could you please consider me? Her voice grew lower and lower until she could almost only hear herself. But her words struck me as laughable, and the last trace of feeling I had for her quietly vanished. In the end, the only person she truly loved was herself. In the last life, she couldn't have the love she wanted and felt pressured by everyone, so she resented me. Now, with the comparison and after being abused by Ryan Miller, she suddenly thinks I'm great. I didn't care about her betrayal in my past life, but I certainly didn't approve of the toxic romance between her and Ryan Miller in this life. I wouldn't forgive her. What did she take me for? If she said yes, it was yes. If she said no, it was no. Looking at Sophia Taylor before me, her eyes full of expectation, I calmly shook my head and repeated the same line. It's late. Get some rest. I closed the door. At the last moment, I could still see through the crack her look of sorrow and brokenness. But by now, whether she was living well or badly had long ceased to be any of my business. Shortly after, Mr. Carter, head of Johnson Enterprises, told me the Los Angeles branch needed someone to manage it. I voluntarily submitted a transfer request and immediately threw myself into the busy preparations for going abroad. Considering that after going to Los Angeles, I might not be able to come back for a long time, I didn't return to my home in Brooklyn. Instead, I went to stay with Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Johnson. During that time, I saw the neighbors' gossip messages in the homeowners group chat. Has everyone heard? The couple in 1102, Sophia and Ryan, broke up. Before Ryan moved out, they had a huge fight, and I heard Sophia was pushed down the stairs. She's still in a New York hospital. Is that true? Didn't Sophia call the police? No, she didn't. She even cried, begging everyone not to call the police. Sigh, serve her right. At first, I still felt some sympathy for her and thought about whether I should visit her in the hospital. But after hearing the last two sentences, all that sympathy evaporated. I mean, a woman who would rather die to prove her resolve to be with a man. How could she possibly let him go just like that? I muted the homeowners group's messages and stopped following anything related to Sophia Taylor. On the day I left for Los Angeles, I watched New York recede from the car window and silently said goodbye to the city I'd lived in for 2 lives. At this point, aside from my parents, I felt no attachment to this place. While going through security at JFK, a commotion rose from the crowd behind me. I turned reflexively and saw a familiar face in the crowd. Sophia Taylor had arrived. She still had a bandage on her forehead and was searching desperately for something. The moment our gazes met, I clearly saw her reddened eyes and the wetness at their corners. But I couldn't quite understand why she looked like that. It wasn't the casual acquaintance of this life, nor the disdain from the last, but regretful, full of deep affection. I ignored her and was about to turn away, but she came straight at me, calling my name over and over. Ethan, wait for me, don't go, hold on. I hadn't intended to respond, but airport staff, worried about a disturbance, halted the boarding. Sophia Taylor rushed up and threw her arms around me. Her voice choked. Ethan, why? Why won't you agree to marry me this time? I know I was wrong. I understand now. It turns out you're the only one worthy of my deep love. She had been reborn too? A shock ran through me. Perhaps after being pushed down the stairs, by some twist of fate, she recalled memories of her past life. For a moment, I suddenly felt relieved that she had regained her memory. That way, the grievances and passions of our previous life gave me a proper outlet for revenge. I shoved her away, my face cool without needing to appear abrupt. Weren't you so in love with Ryan Miller? You felt disgusted just when I touched you. If that's the case, why come to me at all? I've granted you what you wanted. Isn't this the result you wanted? Sophia Taylor looked at me in utter disbelief, eyes brimming with tears. She plainly could have gone on living with the memories of her past life, whether that meant carrying on with Ryan Miller or after being betrayed, waking up and choosing a new life. Yet she deliberately provoked me, coming injured and putting on this pitiful act. Who was she trying to show it to? I know I was too stubborn my last life, mistaking fool's gold for a gem. I've already been punished for it. I'm begging you, Ethan, can't we go back to how things were? This time, I promise I will never disappoint you again. I clapped my hands scornfully. What a heartfelt confession. Too bad, Sophia Taylor, that heaven gave us another chance, probably because it felt sorry for me. Past experience has already shown us we are completely unsuitable, never meant to be from the start. The moment you convinced yourself to settle for a life with me, our relationship was doomed to fail. Sophia Taylor's expression visibly dimmed. I went on, I've read all 99 love letters you wrote to Ryan. I admit, I was jealous of your feelings for him back then, but in this life I'm not jealous anymore. I'm leaving, excuse me. Sophia Taylor suddenly went mad and threw her arms around my waist, hysterical. I don't agree to you leaving. You can't go. You can't leave me. I haven't done anything unforgivable, so why do you keep rejecting me again and again? I only made a small mistake. 10 years of love between us. Can you just say forget it? Her heart-wrenching cries drew the attention of the people around us. I watched her face contorted and felt nothing but irony. If at my first rebirth I felt only anger and grievance towards Sophia Taylor, angry that she didn't love me yet stayed with me, wasting my life. Now I suddenly realized my earlier thoughts were completely right. She is selfish to the core and utterly indifferent to other people's feelings. I shoved her away with force and looked at her coldly. Why? On what grounds can you turn back whenever you please? What do you take me for? When you and I were sleeping in the same bed, but dreaming different dreams, did you ever stop to think how I felt? Now you float out a casual, "I'm sorry," and expect me to forget 10 years of my past life. Sophia Taylor fell silent, not knowing what she was thinking. I didn't want to engage with her, and I definitely didn't want this humiliating matter spread online. Sophia Taylor, some things once missed are missed forever. Go back. You can live your own life, but don't come entangling me again. I turned and walked away without a trace of regret. Since heaven had given me a chance to be reborn, I was going to live the life I wanted. As for the past, I'll treat it as a dream. Epilogue. My name is Sophia Taylor. Ryan Miller and I were together in our senior year of high school. From high school to college, and then after graduation, I thought we would always be together. But when Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor found out about us, they were strongly opposed. I don't know why. They only said they felt the Miller family's circumstances were too poor and couldn't give me a good life. I tried every way to protest, even threatening to take my own life. Back then, I firmly believed love could fill empty stomachs. But in the end, when Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor used Ryan to threaten me, I gave in. I started going on blind dates, but after meeting several, none were satisfactory. Then Ethan Johnson appeared. His features were somewhat similar to Ryan's, and I actually had the idea of finding a substitute. After we married, Ethan treated me very well, whether materially or emotionally. He was impeccable. But I began to feel it was unfair, my emotions constantly repressed. In truth, I just didn't dare face him. Yet Ethan never complained. He remained consistent with me. For years, I tried to persuade myself to accept him, but every quiet night, I still thought of things between Ryan and me, and I wrote all my worries in a letter. Just as I was about to forget Ryan, he suddenly appeared. Perhaps it was a coincidence, or perhaps he did it on purpose, but in any case, my heart stirred again. One time after work, Ryan blocked me at the gate of a Brooklyn Heights building, his eyes red as he spoke of his longing, saying he had become depressed because of me. My heart was torn like a knife, but there was nothing I could do. My heart had already strayed, and I could not let my body follow. But unexpectedly, not long after, Ryan killed himself. Everyone said his depression had become too severe. I was full of regret and chose to follow him into death. But after I died, my soul did not dissipate. I went straight to Ryan's grave, intending to be with him forever. But there I met a woman named Olivia Davis. She looked nearly 40, heavily made up, holding a hammer, angrily smashing Ryan's tombstone, cursing nonstop. "Damn you, bastard Ryan. You got me pregnant and ran off, and left behind such a huge debt in dollars, making me bear it. And now you just die to escape it, leaving me to face it alone? That old man almost beat me to death." Only then did I realize Ryan's death was fully deserved. He had gotten this rich woman Olivia Davis pregnant and left behind a huge debt in dollars. He came to New York to dodge his debts. Meeting me was just an accident. He played the victim in front of me to try to swindle some dollars out of me. Unfortunately for him, before he could carry out his plan, Olivia Davis's husband found him. Back when Mr. and Mrs. Taylor and I were on a hunger strike to resist, he was already messing around with Olivia Davis. Olivia not only was married, her husband was notorious and ruthless, operating on both sides of the law. In a panic, Ryan hid on the balcony's external air conditioner unit before that man broke in, lost his footing, fell, and died. My soul completely collapsed. All that talk of lifetime together was my one-sided wishful thinking. Ryan, whom I had loved so deeply for so many years, turned out to be such an unworthy man. I know I have wronged Ethan Johnson, but at the same time I wish the heavens would let me live a second life so I could love Ethan properly. Maybe heaven heard my prayers. After Ryan pushed me down the stairs, I woke up in a New York hospital and, to my surprise, remembered everything from my previous life. The first thing I did was rush out of the hospital to Johnson Enterprises, where Ethan works. Learning he was about to go to Los Angeles, I raced to New York's Kennedy Airport after him. But his cold gaze made it clear there was no longer any possibility between us. He was right. I truly was selfish and cold-hearted. Someone like me doesn't deserve happiness. I saw Ethan again at his wedding. He was leading a girl named Emma Wilson. Her features reminded me somewhat of my own, but unlike me, when Emma looked at Ethan, the love in her eyes was almost overflowing. I saw a smile on Ethan's face I had never seen before. He was genuinely happy. I quietly raised a glass to him, then turned and walked away. I no longer dared to hope for anything. I only wish to trade the happiness of my remaining years for his lifelong smooth sailing. If there is another life,